This is Nadisha in Chicago, and you're watching my channel, Knowledge for Quality of Life. Friends, in one of the vlog in the past, I shared the number of tests, about 27, 30 tests, which I have done for myself and my wife. And one of the tests, which I explained in one particular separate vlog, was the coronary calcium score, atherosclerotic plaque or calcification, which is surrounding our arteries of the heart. Now, same way, that atherosclerosis, which builds over time around the coronary arteries nearby our heart, the same atherosclerotic plaque can build in the carotid artery. So, but there is a separate test for that, and we call it. There are two tests actually available. CIMT, it's called carotid intima median thickness, or carotid Doppler. This is another test. Now, CIMT is not readily available at many locations, and it was not available for me as well where I live. So I chose to do the carotid Doppler. Basically, carotid Doppler gives you, similar information but in different format. In carotid intima median thickness, is measures the thickness of the carotid artery, the layers of it, including the amount of the plaque volume which has inside the carotid artery. And it gives you age of the one is the physiological age of the carotid artery, and one is the biological age of the carotid artery. But in this case, in carotid Doppler, what it does that it uses the sound waves to see the blood flow throughout the carotid artery. Is it uniform or is it non-uniform? Because when they take these measurements, they take these measurements of the carotid Doppler. It's an ultrasound. They put the gel here, and they take the velocity measurements at different locations. Now, what happens actually, the scheme is that if the uniform velocity they find throughout the carotid artery from the collarbone till the tip of here, because this carotid artery takes the blood which is being pumped by the heart to our brain. It's enriched in oxygen, so our brain can function, and it can give commands and everything to the entire body. So if there is a stenosis, which they call it in medical terminology, means there is a blockage. And then, that blockage can have this carotid artery at that location being pinched. So what's going to happen that, if it's being pinched because of the atherosclerotic plaque, it's the velocity of the blood is going to be much faster at that location. So they will hear in the carotid Doppler in ultrasound a gushing sound. And that's what they're looking for. So if there's no gushing sound, there's no change in the velocity which is being measured, and the report tells you that what velocity at main junctions they are finding, then it's pretty normal uniform flow. It means that there is not too much stenosis, there's not too much blockage. Now, having a blockage here is not a problem. But what if in some time in our lifetime that blockage, for whatever reason, ruptures? Then if that, the clot, which is is going to form, it can travel through the blood and through the arteries, and if it gets stuck somewhere beyond which the blood cannot go, of course it's not going to carry the oxygen, and that's the state of the unconsciousness. One can have a stroke. That's what we define as a stroke. And stroke is very high in percentages, along with the cardiovascular in the heart attack. If there's a rupture happens below the heart in any of the coronary artery, and it can have give somebody a heart attack. And if it happens above this, through the brain, then the person can be in the state of unconsciousness, or it could be a state of stroke. So what is it that we have to do about it? So this is the test that it gives us the proper picture of the health of our carotid artery. So what they measure for that, basically there are three categories. One is they define as a mild stenosis, mild blockage, anything, within 50%, they say that, it's mild. Anything between 50 to 70%, they call it moderate. And anything more than 70%, they call it severe. Now, according to the medical protocol, they don't intervene if it's not more than 70%. There's a surgery procedure, they can clean the plaque and all that. But the point is that, there's no guarantee that, at what point in time this plaque can rupture, because, there's nothing dictates that. It can have, at 50%, it can be at 50 to 70%. So there's no control over it. Unless it's over 70%, then, they can do some mitigation process, surgery or whatever the options are available in the medical community. Now, this is about the test. Why it is important? Because of the underlying risk of given stroke in our lifetime. Now, stroke is so devastating that it can paralyze someone, and the quality of life, which we've been talking about, it can get impeded, down the line. And that's what we are trying to underwrite the risk, that, by looking at what is the status of our carotid arteries health is. Now, this is same way, this is in the same way that, we have to take the measurements and lifestyle and, what we can do about it. Let's say if there is a stenosis of mild stenosis here, or just like we talked about in coronary calcium score around our coronary arteries. So either doctor can prescribe you a statin drug, or there's a chance that you can modify your lifestyle and then mitigate that. At least you can stop the progression, if not reverse it. But it's very crucial to know, not only about the coronary arteries around your heart, but also the carotid artery, because, it's a major, cause of dying or getting paralyzed. Stroke is a very, very common. Now, there are some underlying conditions which can make the case, chances are much more of having a stroke. Similarly, just like a heart attack. So if somebody is insulin resistant, somebody is diabetic or pre-diabetics or borderline conditions, somebody is obese, someone has a high BMI, somebody smokes, or somebody has a hypertension, a high blood pressure. So because high blood pressure is going to, increase the chances of that plaque, whatever it's there, even though it's minute amount, it can rupture, because, your blood is always, putting the pressure on the surrounding arterial wall. And there's a great chance of that, plaque can get ruptured. Plaque itself is not a problem. It could be a stable plaque. But, the problem happens that, when the plaque ruptures, and if it starts moving through the different capillary arteries, and if it gets stuck somewhere based on the, amount of the size of the plaque, and beyond which the blood cannot pass through, because we know that, oxygen is being carried by the blood to our brain, and that brain functions, and gives the command to all the parts of our body, and that's how we move. So it's very crucial that our arterial system should be clean. Now, this is why it's important, why we have to do it. Now, what can we do about it? If let's say if they find out in the test that they have a 50% stenosis, so they define mild, moderate, and high. If it's a moderate, they don't do anything. Moderate is being 50 to 70%. 50% less or less is mild, and above 70% is severe. Now, they can intervene if it's more than 70%. Okay? Now, if they can intervene in the form of a surgery, they can clean up the plaque in the arterial system, in the carotid artery, and or they can put a stent or whatever the procedure is. But if there is no guarantee that the rupture cannot happen at 50% or below 50% or 50 to 70%. There is nothing like that. At least I haven't come across in any literature that it can dictate. But some of the underlying conditions which I've mentioned, it can aggravate this thing. So all we can do is we have to make sure that we try to minimize those underlying conditions to the best of our ability, and adopt a healthy lifestyle. Just like when I did my carotid, they didn't find any stenosis. So whatever I'm doing, my protocol for my coronary arteries, I'm doing the same protocol for my carotid, and that's going to take care of both, because the protocol is same. Just like you become more insulin sensitive, you avoid all the refined carbs and sugars, and do your best, whatever it's in our hand, and live a healthy lifestyle. Try to avoid the seed oils. Try to eat whole foods, close to the nature. Try to avoid all the processed foods, all the junk items which is out there in the society, which it has to offer us, and that's all we can do. Beyond that, it's not in our hand. But I just wanted to share this thought with you that when we talk about quality of life, when we talk about how we are going to lead our life. So I thought that this carotid Doppler is one of the important tests to know what the state of the health of our carotid artery is. Now, your doctor is not going to be very willingly to give you this test, okay? Because they need all the time the justification, and if you think that heart attack or stroke runs in the family, you can bring it out with your doctor that it runs in the family, and God forbid, I don't want to see a specialist for any unforeseen event, because by that time it may be too late, because you need to take the mitigation before that. That's the whole idea of getting a proactive healthcare role in our life, because these sometimes these conditions never give us any second chance, and we don't want to see that. So you can have a dialogue with your doctor that if it runs in the family, or if somebody is diabetic, if diabetes runs in the family, because we know that high blood sugar, insulin resistance puts someone on the fast track to build atherosclerotic plaque, whether it's around the coronary arteries or in the carotid arteries. Now, I can give you the CPT code. CPT stands for current procedural terminology. CPT is for carotid Doppler is 93880. And your doctor would know this thing, but in case if somebody wants to know what the CPT code is, because each and every test is defined by the CPT code, in the referral system when your doctor writes it. So one should know the CPT code, and that's how when you go for the test, they know what they are supposed to do, because CPT code defines everything from writing the test referral to the insurance billing and everything. So I thought that this carotid Doppler is one of the crucial tests which you should do. I wouldn't do it every year, because if I do it once in 5 years or once in 10 years, it's more than enough. I would go once in 5 years, because the plaque doesn't happen, on a yearly basis. If unless somebody has a very strong underlying conditions, and they have to monitor on a yearly basis, and this ultrasound is very safe, just like they do ultrasound for the babies when moms are pregnant, to check the status of health for the fetus, and they put the gel and then just roll the transducer and take the measurements around your carotid artery. So it's perfectly safe. You are not exposed to any radiations as such. So I hope that you can share your thoughts in the comment section. If you have any questions regarding this test, which I came across in the literature, I will be happy to share with you. Hopefully, see you soon with another test. Bye.